Bronson?
Bronson.
Bronson?
When Ryan and Sydney first saw Bronson, he did not try to get anyone's attention. He just walked over and sat down next to Ryan. At the time, it seemed like a coincidence. But that was the moment Bronson chose his person. His story had started long before they ever met him. Bronson did not end up in Ryan and Sydney's home right away. Before that, he had been living with an owner who did not treat him like a family pet. Everything changed when a woman named Anna saw him and realized it couldn't go on like that. She took him out of there, and that was the beginning of things changing for him. Sometime later, Ryan and Sydney saw Bronson on social media and decided to meet him in person. They came without expectations, but almost right away they felt like he was their dog. When they brought Bronson home, he did not look scared or confused. Quite the opposite. He settled in fast, moved calmly through the house, and acted like he knew right away that this was his place. But before long, it became clear that he was not drawn to everyone in the family the same way. Bronson chose one person, and with each day, that became more and more obvious. Very quickly, it became clear that Bronson had chosen Ryan. He didn't just stay close to him, he followed him all over the house. No matter where Ryan went, Bronson was somewhere nearby, as if he was checking where he was and what he was doing. Morning and evening routines became a regular part of his day. The second Ryan walked up to the sink or turned on the shower, Bronson was already there, putting his paws on the sink and waiting for attention. When Ryan got ready for bed, Bronson was right there again and would not leave his side. If Ryan left the house even for a little while, Bronson would sit by the door and wait. And after his 24-hour shifts, Bronson greeted him like he had been waiting for that moment all day. At first, it looked like ordinary attachment, but over time it became clear that being near Ryan was no longer enough for him. He needed much more than that. It became obvious simply being close was no longer enough for Bronson. He needed constant contact. He pressed himself against Ryan, tried to get as close as he could, lay down face to face with him, and often just rested his head on him. At night, he slept beside them, but in the morning, if Ryan did not get up right away, Bronson would climb on top of him and lie right on him. Even in the car, he did not just lie there. He rested his head on Ryan and stayed that way the whole ride. If he got less attention, you could hear it right away. Bronson would start whining softly and making long sounds like he was trying to say something. From the outside, it looked like this was the perfect life for him and like nothing would ever change. But everything changed when someone came into the house he was not ready for. Everything changed when Ryan and Sydney had their son, Crew. Once he arrived, Bronson's behavior became very different. When the baby started crying, Bronson got nervous, moved away, and looked confused, like he didn't understand what was happening. There was a stiffness in his movements that had not been there before. He no longer tried to stay close to Ryan all the time, and more often kept his distance. For the first time since he had been brought into the house, Bronson stopped sleeping in the bedroom and started going to the couch. It felt unusual, because before that, he never left Ryan's side. Ryan gradually began to understand that this was not just about change. There was something more behind Bronson's behavior than simple anxiety, and that feeling only grew stronger with each day. Watching Bronson change, Ryan realized what was really going on. This was not just a reaction to noise or to new conditions in the house. There was something more personal in the way Bronson was acting. And over time, it became clear that Bronson was jealous. So Ryan decided to change his daily routine and started getting up earlier so he could spend one-on-one time with him before work. He sat next to Bronson on the couch, petted him, and gave him the familiar attention Bronson was used to. Those quiet moments gradually brought back Bronson's sense that he still mattered. Over time, the tension started to ease, and around Crew, he no longer looked so guarded. You could see that Bronson was starting to look at everything differently, and was slowly becoming himself again. Bronson's behavior around Crew gradually started to change. When the child was nearby, he no longer walked away, and he did not react with the same tension as before. Instead, Bronson stayed close, watched, and calmly took in what was happening. One of the clearest signs was the way he started acting with his toys. Before, he did not share them with anyone, but now he could leave them next to Crew and not take them back. Over time, they started running through the house together, and there was no longer that same caution in those moments. Bronson came back to sleeping in the bedroom, in his spot next to Ryan.
Boogie, what are you doing to your papa?
And even though Ryan was still the one Bronson was most drawn to, it was clear that now he had accepted Crew as part of his family.